Hey everybody, welcome back. When we last left off, we were having some issues with having our modal here update with the latest active schema. No matter what we did, it seemed like it was just endlessly pulling the React Web schema data. So we were looking at component will receive props, but to be honest, this is a deprecated method and isn't really going to be used after React 16. And we were looking at another lifecycle method called get derived state from props, but I think we'll come back to that a little bit later because I want to make sure that what we're covering here is relatively simple to understand and reflects a lot of common use cases. And as the React documentation itself made clear, get derived state from props, it's meant to be used rarely. So really it means that we're probably not doing something correctly. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to refactor our content modal component such that it doesn't actually calculate any of this data here, so that it's not sending out fetch requests as a child component. What we're going to do is we're going to leave that up to the top level dashboard component. So let's go ahead and we're not gonna take the entire component div out, but let's go ahead and take that, and let's go ahead and drop that in there. So what do we have here? Right. Constant education, or we'll call this content. And what we're going to do is we're going to just display this. We're going to pull the data. We're going to set the state here, right? And we're going to pass down the array of objects down to the modal as props. Okay. So now let's go ahead and this .props.content. Content equals this .state.content. Okay. And that should work, I believe. Let's give it a shot here. Oh, canary property map of undefined. Oh, that's because we haven't saved this file here. Okay, so let's show the modal. Oh, there doesn't seem to be anything there. Okay. This .state.schema. Well, it doesn't really look like there's anything there. How about we try this .state.active schema. Okay. Well, we have that, but if we click this, right, obviously nothing's going to change. So, but what we're doing though is we are just receiving this .props.content. So the key for us is going to be, and matter of fact, we really don't need this constructor here. The key for us is going to be updating the content here, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to have a function called async update content. We have a try block here, API request here. We're going to have our catch block so that we can catch any errors that happen. Error updating ed slash economic content. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to be accepting a parameter here, and we're going to call let's call this parameter schema, right? And here, what we're going to do is we're going to take this same approach here, schema, and we're going to do that, and then we're going to set the state of content to be content. So in this way, we're essentially refreshing our state, which will then automatically refresh the props here. Let's give it a shot. So what we need to do is now we need to have our list group items down here. We need to have them activate this function. So what we'll do here is we will take out set state, and we will have this dot update schema with the topic dot type. Okay. Let's give that a whirl. So computer science. This dot update schema is not a function. Interesting. Oh, that's because I gave it the wrong name. It's not update schema. It's actually update content. Let's give it another whirl. So choosing node. Wow! Whoa! What do we have here? Looks like mission success, right? Great stuff. Okay, so now what's going on here? Dashboard 91. We're logging stuff. Okay. This active schema is, I guess, only really used here. Is active schema used anywhere else? Well, it's not really being used anywhere else, to be completely honest. So why don't we just get rid of this thing in general? And let's check to see that that's still working. Well, yeah, that would be working. Computer science, there we go. Okay, so when we just have our components working in this manner, you can see it's a lot easier. So we have our parent components, and we are simply passing down props. Now, one might say, is it really necessary to have a class component here? If we're not using any component lifecycle hooks, is it really necessary? I don't know. So why don't we just go ahead and why don't we refactor this into a what's called presentational components. And a presentational components, pretty simple. Actually, I believe we just need that. Presentational component simply receives information and works its magic. Doesn't require this dot props. Just requires props. Content mode does not exports. I guess we needed that default there after all. Oh yeah, defaults. wait a minute, no, it's export default line 4. Oh, haha, that's right. Export default. Can I read property props of undefined? Interesting. Why not? Modal show equals props dot show. Okay. So it says it's not really getting any props here. Although, realistically, it should be getting some props. Yeah, right, that's not really getting too much. Well, let's do a quick little debug here. Presentational React components example. See what we got here. Let's take a look at our friends fullstackreact.com. They actually have an excellent book, which I highly recommend buying. Right, so this is an example of a class. Here, so that is looking pretty similar to what we did here, right? Does not have the special property object. But it's showing that it doesn't have props. That's interesting. Show equals this dot state dot content show modal. Interesting. So how would we, what's the question we would ask here? Presentational component cannot read property props of undefined. So when we're dealing with an error, you know, we want to go ahead and Google with the best information that we can. Maybe the arrow function is the problem. Could very well be. Okay. It's telling us that potentially it's an issue with the arrow function. No, that's not it. Oh, maybe that was it. Wow, I'm silly. So really, I was just blind. I just didn't see the this.props. That's why it was giving me the error. I'm just being silly. So this is an example of me needing to actually take a closer look here at this. This is where that famous attention to detail comes in handy. Okay, so we have that. And if we click on React Web, all right, it'll show us that, sure. Right, so here, it still gives us the same good old-fashioned stuff, but what we did was we reformatted that class component to a presentational component. And that, dear friends, is going to give us a slight performance update. And also, one thing we can do here for our performance update is we can actually get rid of this div and we can replace it with something called a React fragment. So a div is again, a divider, and it's something that divides the application. And it's very handy because you can assign styling to the div. However, it does add another div to the DOM tree, which over time, if you have them everywhere, is going to increase the total, technical load on your app. So you can replace them with React fragments and reduce that DOM node on the tree, that div node, and still group all of your elements together. Pretty cool. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to show this modal like when we're actually clicking on these items, right? Because click here and then click here, that's kind of lame, right? That's not really what a user wants. So let's go ahead and take a look-see here. So right now we have to click on this, on-click, and then on-click becomes this dot handle show. What we can do is in this dot update content, we can actually call this dot handle show. And I want to say that should work. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. So now we can go ahead and get rid of this button. And let's take a quick look here. So what's going on here? Every child in the list should have its own unique key prop. DashboardJS 74. What's going on? 74 here. Ah, we don't have a key here. Yes. So let's go ahead and add a key. Okay. Now, DashboardJS. So we're no longer using link containers. So let's get rid of that. Button is defined but never used. Yeah, let's get rid of that for now. Okay, now containers settings.js. So we kind of commented out a bunch of stuff here. We can comment this out, and I believe we're good. Okay, so so we have this working, which is very, very excellent. Now I wonder if we do finding work, is that also going to work? Son of a gun, it does. Now, obviously there's a disconnect here with some of them working and some not. So that is going to be an issue that we're going to need to address here on GitHub. So why don't we go ahead and create a new issue. So certain sanity IO ed and econ are loading nothing. This is likely an issue with how their schema is named in the directories.js file, as opposed to how they are actually named in their in their Sanity API. So that's going to be something that we're going to go through later, is we're going to go ahead and dig into how Sanity works, what Sanity is all about, and how to update and deploy. It's beautifully simple. Y'all are going to love it. So let's go ahead and submit this issue. So let's see here. So show educational content from Sanity CMS. Right. Okay, so we needed to, one, write the API request, make a reusable component that will help us take those uniform objects and map through them all and render them. Well, we have accomplished that. So let's go ahead and commit our code on GitHub here. So let's see, we don't need that, and we don't need that. So really, we haven't really changed anything in our app.js file that I can see. But we have changed some things in the dashboard, some things in the settings, right? So in the settings file, we commented out certain things. to take out Webpack linting errors. So what we're doing right now is we're committing our code to Git. And there's 3 steps when you're committing code to Git. There is the step of staging, of adding the things that you want to commit. And so that's what we did here when we click this plus sign and added settings. This is a staged change. Now what we're going to do is we're going to write a message explaining what we just added, and we're going to click this checkbox to commit the change, right? And so let's also do this here for content modal. We're going to say we created reusable content modal to render educational and economic content from our Sanity API. And we're going to commit. And then here in DashboardJS, what we are going to do is we're going to comment we integrated Sanity network requests and modal showing and closing inside of the dashboard. We're going to go ahead and commit that. So right now we have 3 commits. Now the last step is going to be for us to push our beautiful, beautiful code to the remote repository. So now if we go ahead and click here and we go into our Pareto application, we will see that 16 seconds ago we made some changes in our source folder. Beautiful. Okay. All right. So this is what we had time for today. Time for right now, at the very least. We'll probably do something a little bit more tonight, but we're going to need to integrate the experience system information, much like how we integrated the education information. And from there, we will also be moving on to our other issues here. So show educational content. So this is almost completed. The only thing left is to give people the ability to click on the links and take them to the other websites. Great. Okay. All right, great. We will talk again soon.